Hi, welcome to Mercurius Being. I'm Amy Jensen and I'm running through the energies of the Scorpio New Moon, which is exact November 4th at 4:14 p.m. Central Time. So let's start off with the Sabian symbol for that lunation. And I'm reading from Linda Hill's Sabian Oracle. So we round it up to 13 degrees Scorpio. And the saying for this is, an inventor performs a laboratory experiment. Commentary, an inventor is seen performing a laboratory experiment. It's hard to know from the symbol whether he is alone or working with others. Regardless of the circumstances, he has to take responsibility for the outcome. The inventor has to imagine what is possible, gather the necessary ingredients, and be willing to take a risk on whether things will work out or not. His experiment may prove to be successful, scary, or downright dangerous and risky. If the inventor is doing something new and untried, he must be prepared to step out into unknown territory and be prepared for the whole thing to blow up in his face. However, experiments don't really fail. Although he may have to start all over again with a new set of plans, something is always gained. So, the oracle for this point, if things are not working at the moment, you probably need to experiment, trying different combinations and possibilities. In doing so, you will not only most likely find the solution in the situation, but you will also learn a lot from any errors that you made along the way. Look for creative solutions to the situation facing you. A lot of amazing discoveries can be made simply by having a go at something or creating the right mix of ingredients. As the situation unfolds, you'll learn clues as to what should be the next thing to do, the tasks that are worth performing, or the risks that you are prepared to take. Be prepared to be inventive and make things up as you go along. Sometimes we have to just go for it and do what we feel needs to be done without knowing what the income or outcome is going to be. Take a few calculated risks, and along the way, you just might discover something unexpected. All right, so that is the Sabian symbol for the degree of the sun and moon, 12 degrees Scorpio and 40 minutes. So as you see, sun and moon, I've just highlighted the opposition to Uranus and the square of Uranus, sun, moon to Saturn. Also, I'll mention a little bit about Pluto, quintiling the lunation, and also Neptune trining the lunation. All right, so what stuck out to me as I was preparing this were a couple numbers, the number 12, and then I looked back at the lunations, and starting with the Aries full moon on October 20th, we've been going back and forth between the number 27 degrees, and the number 12. So I just thought I would look up 12 and 27, and of course you could also look up 3 and 9, which I also did. Because when you do numerology, usually you add the numbers together to bring it all down to a single digit, but I'll leave that up to you. I thought I'll just do the 12 and 27. So the number 12 is a combination of 1 and 2, 1 symbolizing unity, new beginnings, motivation and progress, 2 symbolizing duality, diplomacy, relationships, adaptability. So the number 12 together represents cycles of experience and regeneration, which I thought was very scorpionic, but also just kind of this whole period then from now until, the December 18th full moon in Gemini. So it's kind of like 12, 27, 12, 27, 12, 27. So it's just this repetition of numbers. So 12, so those representing experiences and regeneration toward a higher consciousness, knowledge, and higher wisdom. That 1 number being the beginning and 2 being kind of the balancing with self and other. Don't be hindered by old habits that need to be changed. Look to new experiences with optimism, as they will bring favorable and positive effects and opportunities. So the old kind of being replaced by the new. So just instead of worrying about, oh my God, I need to change this and I need to change that and this is wrong and that's wrong. It's like, well, look toward what you'd like the outcome to be, and then kind of let the opportunities and energies fall into place for you. Number 27 symbolizes the number 2, again, is the balancing. It's the duality. Number 7 is spiritual awareness, persistence of purpose, understanding and introspection, empathetic and psychic abilities. So 27 together is new information is on the way. Listen to your intuition and its guidance. Messages of faith, trust, and self-belief, positive attitude and perspective, and trust that you'll manifest positive results. So there's also a bit in here that kept coming up for me about really continuing to watch your words and your thoughts, as far as just shifting them again to the more positive outcome, instead of getting kind of stuck in catastrophizing. So just keep drawing yourself forward to that which you would like to create and to see. All right, so it's a super new moon. It's the 3rd of 4 super moons in this year. And new moons are great times to set intentions. Super moons are when the moon is closest to the earth, and this happens at full and new moons, so it's amplifying the gravitational and electromagnetic pull on the earth. And of course, we're made of so much water that we also are responding to that pull. So it can be heightened emotions and heightened sensitivities. But along with that, stronger and heightened energy, it's really great for making changes. And again, that's what new moons are for, seeding intentions. Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, is the sign of death and rebirth. Death as in releasing the old, and rebirth as in coming into one's own power, and any regenerative type energy. Scorpio is the feminine half of the 3rd or navel chakra, the Manipura chakra, the city of jewels. So it leads us into that energy of the wealth that we have within us. The ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. Another name for Pluto is Hades, and Pluton, oh, I should have looked this up. It means wealth. Hades talks about the, again, the wealth of what is underneath and the underworld, and drawing that wealth up. So the city of jewels, you think of literally in the earth, gemstones and resources, but we also think of within ourselves the resources and gemstones of all of the things that we have, kind of untapped resources. I want to say primordial energies, kind of the sense of darkness and bubbling up, and I guess that kind of goes back to the experiment in a way, that we have within us these ingredients. And a lot of times they can be triggered, and the energy of Pluto can be really shadowy and unintegrated, because it can be hard to look at. So some of the, there's a lot of nightmare and dark associations with Scorpio and Pluto, traumatic experiences, experiences where you've lost your power, been a victim, or on the other hand, been the victimizer or the powerful one in the power dynamic. So Scorpio is really about right use of power. Aries is the masculine side of the navel chakra, and Aries is that, ruled by Mars, very direct energy. You know, Aries coming at you with a sword or a knife, they're coming right at you. They see you, you see them. It's really direct, right? And it's a direct way of working. You work with an Aries, they like to be direct. They're not going to get hurt if you're direct back. That's the way they like to function, or that energy likes to function. I don't want to generalize any sign. Scorpio, because I don't want to go into Scorpio and then generalize Scorpios as being a bunch of backstabbers. But scorpionic energy, for all of us, whether you're Scorpio or not, that segment of yourself is about power and integrating and embodying that power. So when Scorpio goes bad, we're talking about so Scorpio, again, it's about deep, deep stuff. Death and rebirth and regeneration. And if people want to go there, it's awesome. It's great to have a scorpionic conversation with someone where you can really go there and you can go into the dark. Scorpio also rules an 8th house. Death, hospice, the occult. Stephen Forrest calls it, I say this every time, the 8th house is house of sex, death, and the occult, which he says, of course, sells a lot more retreats than the 6th house of brushing your teeth. Anyway, little astrology joke there, but 8th house is, if you're gonna go deep, well, you go there, deep there, you can go deep in the 12th house with Pisces. But so if somebody is comfortable with that, somebody's comfortable with holding someone's hand as they pass from this world, as in a hospice situation, holding someone's resources like banking and insurance, that's also kind of under this shared wealth, shared resource umbrella of Scorpio. So it's a very powerful and potent energy. And if there can be, when Scorpios go bad, it's instead of like, hey, let's talk and go deep and be direct about this big, deep, uncomfortable subject, they're going to go sideways like a scorpion. And I have been guilty of this myself, so I'm not pointing fingers. I try not to, so hopefully if all my videos, I never try to point fingers at a sign because there's just all these different expressions. And again, we all have these segments within us. So when a Scorpio goes bad, they're like sideways with the stinger, and instead of just coming at you with their power and seeing you at your power, there can be manipulation. And so it's an indirectness. And so it can be a stinger felt later. It can be a stinger at one thing, but what is really meant is something else. It can be a power play, and it can be kind of moving one toward an imbalance of power without ever saying anything. So those are kind of the levels of this very deep and layered, multi-layered sign. So this is an invitation for each of us during Scorpio season to go deep, to go into the areas that are triggered within us that we don't understand why. And again, it might just be someone who triggers that within you, but it's not them. A lot of times there's that blame or scapegoating that goes on with an undeveloped or unembodied Scorpio Pluto energy. So putting, oh, I'm not dark, oh, I'm not manipulative, oh no, not me. I'm going to put that on someone else. That's projection and scapegoating. That also falls under this umbrella. As you can tell, I kind of love Scorpio and Pluto. So I love to dig into these layers because there's a lot to work with, right? If you're not afraid to go there, who doesn't have a basement full of shit, right? But it's in going down into that we do bring up that, and it's compost for the gardens and the flowers and the jewels that are within each of us and make us each an individual. All right, so there's a sense of aliveness in Scorpio. It's that sense of a little scary, you know, it's a little scary going there, but oh my God, don't you feel so much more alive when you're really, really present with all that's within you and sharing all that's within someone else? Like, that's real. That's real. Like, again, sitting at someone's deathbed, that's real. There's no fronting that. There's no faking your way through that. You know, like, oh yeah, Dad, you're doing great. It's like, no, you're gonna hold space while someone is passing through that portal. Because to not do that is not to respect this this moment and that opportunity of being alive in a space that is not really, again, easily accessed, but we miss an opportunity. Okay, I'll just stop there. We miss an opportunity if we don't go there, if we keep it all on the surface. All right, so coming into your power, seeing the power of others, seeing the aliveness and the life and death threshold. That's what we're doing in Scorpio season. The cross quarter day, the 15 degrees Scorpio, so the midpoint between the solstice in December and the vernal equinox. I am off on my seasons. The autumnal equinox is at 15 degrees Scorpio. So that is the midpoint, and the cross quarter day that is in Scorpio, so the veils are very thin during the whole Scorpio season. So also, that would be a little shout out to ask for help. Ask for help from unseen forces, from your ancestors. Anyone who's come before you who might be available to help you. All right, so that's on the 7th, the cross quarter day. Mercury just squared Pluto on the 2nd, so if anything kind of heated up and got a little snippy or short or touching into that Pluto a little bit, that was Mercury. And then on the 3rd, Mercury reached the degree at which it went retrograde. So we're completely through the whole Mercury retrograde period. Full speed ahead. During the retrograde period, of course, we're switching into the other mind, the other part of ourselves, which is again very scorpionic and plutonic. So now Mercury's moving forward and back to where it was, so things are kind of returning to normal. Hopefully the integration took place and all the things that you wanted to reclaim and embody have been put into place and now are kind of part of your working new operating system, your new upgrade. Next year is also a Mercury retrograde air year. So we get to revisit and refine the themes of this past year's air retrogrades. Okay? So the lunation, Sun and Moon in Scorpio, are opposing Uranus in Taurus. So innovative restructuring of values, I wrote, shaking of the earth, bringing and highlighting the individual freedoms and individuation, and freedom from dominant thought forms would be another thing that might be heightened at this time. Both of these are squaring the Saturn in Aquarius. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting this weird light, aren't I? Okay. Which is, so Saturn in Aquarius, restructuring or laying foundation to energy or prana, okay? So again, those two energies, Uranus and Saturn, squaring each other. The 3rd time, I keep saying this again, is coming up in December. So Scorpio, of course, another fixed sign, heightening that ongoing square, heightening and giving us insight, because that Saturn-Uranus square is the theme for the year, and this new moon, and really integrating all of maybe our unconscious and subconscious triggers of Scorpio will help us in understanding the micro patterning for ourselves, what we want to repattern with the Saturn square Uranus, and then also help us to understand our position and placement within the larger context, because this Uranus square Saturn is happening for everyone. Okay. Mercury moves into Scorpio on the 5th, and then Mercury meets up with Mars in Scorpio, and they both square Saturn on the 10th, and then they'll oppose Uranus in Taurus. So there's still this new moon energy that'll be happening. All of that will be kind of hit again with Mercury and Mars, so reinforcing the ideas of breaking down and rebuilding, echoing that new moon energy, and the overarching energy of the Saturn square Uranus of breaking down and rebuilding. Okay, I'll just touch in on the Venus. Venus is entering Capricorn November 5th. And she'll be staying there for a while because of her retrograde period up until January. And then in January, she's going to be entering her Capricorn cycle. So she's near the end of her Gemini cycle, which began June 2020. Okay, so we see where we were then, see where we are now. She has just entered her wholeness phase, October 29th. And so she's the max distance from the sun in the evening sky. She's super bright. And a quote from Adam Gainsburg on this wholeness phase, and these are his phases for both Venus and Mars, and I'll include that in my notes. We stand in our sovereignty and commitment to serving life in our unique way. So again, Venus really embodying the divine feminine for each of us, regardless of our gender, that embodiment of the Venusian energy of balance and love and creativity and partnership, being whole and present as a physical being in this world and sharing our gifts. Mars entered Scorpio October 30th and is in its preparation phase. So right now Mars is still invisible to us. It's the farthest away from Earth. And even though it's moving at its fastest speed, because it's so far away from us, it's on the other side of the sun, it appears to be moving very slow. So Mars representing our agency and our assertiveness, moving really fast, but feeling as if it's slow and invisible. So like, oh, our agency? Oh, where's our agency? What agency, right? Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, so the old ruler of Scorpio. So Mars is also a very important planet to this Scorpio new moon. So at this time, being invisible, we are still gestating. Again, this is from Adam Gainsburg, gestating the masculine identity. We're setting new goals and new intentions for this Mars phase. And this Mars phase will continue on until 2023, this Mars cycle. So we're in the preparation phase, so it hasn't been born yet. The seed is underneath in the soil. So Mars is working behind the scenes, and everything that's going on in the world is kind of like adding ingredients to this mix. Going back to kind of that inventor. So all of the occurrences in the world are adding to this Mars new phase, kind of fertilizing the seeds. So let's add some of our own personal intentionality to this and fertilize our Mars agency and intentions for this next phase, a cycle, Scorpio cycle, with our own intentions, not just like, oh, okay, I'm pulling in a brewing analogy. So sometimes when you brew beer, well, traditionally you have your own yeast and you control it, but there are also some that you just let the air provide the yeast for the brew. And so at this time, the Mars seeds are receiving the kind of everything from the universe, but let's plant our own intentional energy to it. Okay, that was a lot. So Mars just began its cycle, the beginning of October on the 7th. So the last time, and it'll be birthed, the Mars cycle will be birthed on November 22nd, so 11/22. So we'll begin to see it in the morning sky. So then our intentions will have a birth moment at that time as far as that assertiveness, agency, all of the Mars energy. The last time that Mars, so Venus, the last time Mars and Venus overlapped in the Gemini Venus and the Scorpio Mars cycle was in 1988-89. So just looking back, I don't know why I pulled that forward. So just kind of looking back to that time period, Venus began her Gemini cycle June of 1988. Mars began his Scorpio cycle November 13th, 1989. So just kind of looking back at that time period, if you'd like, just to see what was being birthed at that time, and see if there's any themes that are coming forward now at this time in relation to that. All right, let's see. I'm actually following my outline this time. Pluto has a quintile to the new moon. Pluto, again, is the ruler of Scorpio. Quintile is a minor aspect, but it's just a creative aspect. And I was thinking it's kind of creative and supportive, but maybe from the underworld or from, again, ancestors, from those who have passed through the veil. Neptune having a trine to this lunation, thinking of spiritual and visionary support from the divine. So allowing yourself kind of like this support from above and below, within and without. And again, an invitation for you to plug into your connectivity to your divine source and support. All right. And I pulled a couple cards. One I feel like, or a couple feel like they are related to the Pluto quintile, the new moon, and the others related to the Neptune trine, the new moon. So the first one being, let's see if I can do this without too much glare, Lost Compass, from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. So, Lost Compass, this light isn't too weird. Getting back to integrity, I'm going to back up a little bit. Getting back to integrity, finding the way home, trusting intuition. When the lost compass appears, it is a sign that you need to find your way back home, back to your source and center, relying on your intuition to arrive there. Be wary of the signs telling you to turn here or there, or to avoid this or that person or situation, because the outward indicators are not reliable right now. Be careful not to believe all the advice you are receiving, including from me. Rely instead on your innate sense of direction and guidance, and use your homing instinct to lead you true. The lost compass has come to show you that you need to find new counselors. You are not getting the mentoring you need for your success. Who is that person you are looking up to as a model for what it means to be a woman or man? Trash that ideal. Tear up your picture you carry in your mind. You are meant to be you, not the best copy of your dearest friend. Make this your mantra. Love me or leave me. The lost compass is a blessing in disguise, because you sometimes have to lose your bearings and find yourself afresh to discover a new course. True north never changes, so reset your way to your heart compass and trust your deepest feelings even when others do not support them. Remember that you are not lost, you simply do not know where you are going right now. Lost is a state of mind. Not knowing where you are going is an opportunity to find a way to a new path. All right, and the other Pluto quintile lunation card is Sky Bridge. All right, possibility for union. What needs to be connected or disconnected? You stand before a seemingly unbreachable abyss, and there's no possibility of retreat. The path behind you is no longer a viable option. You have to act soon, though, or you run the risk of being stuck at the edge of the cliff. Life has brought you to this moment to offer you as yet undreamt of possibilities. But you must no longer postpone what you know to be inevitable. And yes, you are allowed a breath or two before the leap, so take a bit of time to yourself. Get away for a day or two of contemplation, or even for just a few minutes walk to clear your head. Muster your courage so that you may cross the sky bridge. Sky bridge appears when the moment is absolutely right for a quantum leap. Life believes you are ready, even if you do not agree. Remember not to confuse your true state of readiness with your plans and preparation. Respond with a determined yes, and let the universe take care of the details. You need only hold on to your positive affirmation, and the way will become obvious as you take flight and clear the abyss. All right, and I have just 3 little short ones for the Neptune trine, the lunation. The first one is Fortune's Wheel. This is from the Good Tarot, Colette Baron-Reid. Right? Fortune's Wheel, destiny meets synchronicity. I am in awe to experience many meaningful coincidences that prove to me that Spirit has my back. Those lucky breaks and moments when things just turn out perfectly show how we're all connected. My gamble will pay off when I trust my co-creative partnership with Spirit. My destiny is obvious to me now. All right, the next one, Page of Air. Aren't these beautiful as well? Page of Air, new ideas. A theory not yet proven. Curiosity, new focus. This calls for greater investigation as we've only scratched the surface. I don't really know. That's interesting. If I explore this way of thinking, what can I learn? All right, I love that. So no mistakes. What can I learn from exploring this way of thinking? And the last one, the 3 of Air, also amazingly beautiful. Silver linings, natural departures, rejection is God's protection. A third party helps me to see the truth of this situation. What is truly mine, that is kind of a weird light. There we go. What is truly mine can never be withheld from me. Rejection is Spirit's protection. It's in my best interest to let go and allow for something better to take its place. It is my highest good to see the truth regardless of my temporary discomfort. And this too shall pass. Yeah, so I'm sorry about the weird light. There we go. Okay, I hope that wasn't too distracting. Anyway, I guess you can tell we've got kind of crossbars on our windows, so that could be weird. I might have to go back and see how that looks. But I'm really happy with the content, so I'm glad I outlined myself today. I'll be back again. There's the 1111 portal. I'm not sure if I'll do a video on that or not. But for sure, I'll be back before the November 19th Taurus full moon eclipse. So hang on, dive deep, don't fear anything. And on that note, I will leave you. All right, namaste.